Good morning to you. And yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it, Amy, when we were having a good old time. But it's figured out Friday, guys. And I got a good show today. Took some notes. I'm going to talk a little bit about what I'm doing up here. Been having a lot of people saying, "Oh, I can't wait for you to share. Can't wait for you to share." And I'm going to share a little bit about that today. But I'm asking you to be engaging today. I'm going to ask some questions. So, just be ready that what we got going on here. Because what I'm learning up here is about figuring it out. And so I wrote down a couple things. I got my notes here. As always, I like to have notes when I do this. So there's 4 key things I'm going to share with you in the beginning. But first and foremost, happy Friday to everybody. Looks like we got everybody here. Good morning, Chad. We got Claudia. We got a couple new people on here. First time being on here, guys, especially the Facebook world. Feel free to put yourself on video. I will not get upset with you if you're on video. And y'all look pretty to me. Y'all look pretty. Don't think you're not pretty. But say good morning. If you're from a new place, you never know. You could have somebody in your hometown there. So you never know what that looks like. My name is Brock Zevan. I'm a life coach, business coach, real estate agent, and a dad. I'm very blessed and fortunate to have 2 beautiful kids that I get to race home to as soon as I leave here. I hop on a plane and I jump into daddy duty at about 9:30 this morning. They will not go to bed early, so they will stay up for me just to make sure I put them to bed, and for my son Bryce to say, "Daddy, can I sleep with you?" So, and thank you, Wendy, who's balancing that, and my mom. You got to have many people on your team, guys. When you got kids, we talked about it up here with my coach. I'm up here in Nashville. We talked about excuses. We talked about figuring it out. And my coach has really been pushing me on this whole figure it out. He really likes the concept because a lot of people are figuring it out. So I'm going to ask for a couple things. One is the figure it out Friday. I do not have a guest today. The reason why I do not have a guest, needless to say, is because of I'm traveling and I had a couple of challenges with that. Number two, stay with me. I'm going to dive deeper today. I hope you're okay with that. And I'm going to ask you guys a question. I need to know this. Okay. Raise your hand if you're if I can see you on video. If you're in a chat area, I want you to go to the reaction button, figure out your thumb, and I want you to tell me, are you okay with me diving a little bit deeper today? Are you? Are you going to give me permission to ask you some questions about maybe your personal life? Okay. I need to understand because I'm not gonna call you out, but I need to know the people who are out there because I might. Okay. Because here's the thing. There's this guy, I wrote down his name, Vincent Del Monte. Okay. He's a millionaire now. I got the pleasure to be able to speak with him yesterday up here. And he says to me, Brock, you know what the most crazy thing is when I ask people, do you have questions? Do you have challenges? Guess what everybody does? They shut their mouth. They be quiet. He goes, do you not think like I don't want to help you? Did I come across that way? And so many times, like today, I'm going to ask you guys some questions that I want to help figure it out. And some of them I won't answer today, but my coach is coming out on February 17th. Michael Burt is coming out on February 17th live, and we're going to help answer some of these questions. So number 3, I'm going to ask you if you're going to be okay to be vulnerable. Okay. When I decided to take my life and stop pretending that crying was a weakness and sharing my vulnerability, that it's not a weakness. Mike Kastner used to say to me all the time, he goes, Brock, you spoke at one event. My daughter and wife started to tear up. Nobody was on their cell phone. And I knew at that very moment you made a transition in your speaking engagement. I remember to a T when he said that to me. And I said, wow, really? He goes, the more vulnerable you are, the more relatable you become because it's part of your life. It's not a weakness. It becomes a strength. And I was like, oh, okay, well, here we are, because I got a lot of them. So I'm going to share about the vulnerability. And number 4, I'm going to share with you a little about what I'm up here for, trying to figure out. Because some people are like, what the hell are you doing up there, man? Like, what's going on? You've been up in Nashville a couple of times. Like, something's got to be coming from this. And so I'm going to share with you a little bit about that. But here's the thing. I want you guys to visualize this. When you're figuring out something and when I'm helping other people, and I was at a hockey game too. Well, that was pretty cool. I haven't been to a hockey game in over 20 years. And to be able to go to a hockey game last night was pretty cool. And thanks, Jim, for getting those tickets. And that was a whole nother issue. Real quick side note. We in the parking in a spot you're not supposed to park. I got a boot put on my car. And I had to figure out how to get this boot off. Never had a boot in my entire life. Let me just tell you, it was a show. I'm not even going to go down that path. But yes, I had a boot put on my car first time ever, and I was figuring it out last night about 10:30, which Eastern time is at 11:30, which all of you know, I don't like to be anywhere outside 10 o'clock. Like I'm like bedtime. So needless to say, it was pretty entertaining. But here's the thing, guys. I want you to visualize this. Okay. How many of us have seen a cookie jar or seen your grandma's cookie jar? You've had a cookie jar that was like sitting on the stove. My grandmother had her sitting on her laundry room, and the cookie jar was in the kitchen. The laundry room was in the kitchen. And so I'm about to do something to you, just like my coach does to me. And for when Chad speaks and Greg and Mike and Christian, when we go to our coach, I want you to visualize this for me, okay? When you go to the cookie jar, Facebook people, do you have to take the lid off the cookie jar to get to the cookie? Would you all agree with me? Give me a thumbs up, nod your head that majority of the time when you went to your grandma's house to go to the cookie jar, you had to lift the lid to get inside to get to the cookie. And that's what we're about to do today, because when you figure things out and you're going through it, you have to remove the lid to get inside. And here's the thing. When Mike Castor told me, Rock, you removed the lid on your vulnerability that day. That night, you moved the lid. And when you remove the lid, you have access to be able to give your cookies away to more people when you decide to remove the lid. But here's the thing, guys. Here's the important quote. I want you to write this down for those of you who are writing things down, and this is also recorded. But here's the quote that I've recently heard and started to explore about a little bit more. You ready for it? This is a good one. This is one of the best quotes I've heard. I don't even know who said it, but I really like it. Until you accept the truth of your situation, you cannot change it. I'm going to say it again. Until you accept the truth of your situation, you cannot change it. For about 5 years, I didn't believe I was an alcoholic. For 5 years, I felt, well, especially the first 3 years, I was like, this is normal. It's my age. I'm just having fun. I mean, who doesn't drink 7 days a week? It wasn't until like later on, I was like, I don't know why I just had that bottle of wine. I mean, it's 10 o'clock in the morning, but I mean, I think it's okay though. See, I wasn't accepting the situation I'm in. And the reason why I'm going to get vulnerable with some of you right now is I'm going to ask you to give me a thumbs up, to put yourself out there if you like. And in Facebook world, you're going to have to do the same. Then I'm going to ask you, when you decide that you're going to accept the situation that you're not in how many of you are not in the financial position that you are hoping to be in today? How many of you are not where you are financially that you really thought the dreams of where I would be at my age, I might be in a different position? How many of you don't have that savings account or that extra area where you keep your money, or maybe some stocks or something you're raising for your kids, or something that you're doing for a financially freedom life that you live that Chad talks about? See, the vulnerability comes in play when we accept our situation. How many of you are not getting up in the morning like you tell yourself to get up in the morning? How many of you are not going to bed the time period you say you're going to bed? How many of you are not making the calls and your follow up and all these different things that you're trying to like, I know what I want to do, Brock, but I don't want to accept the situation I'm in. So we hide it. I masked it for many years by drinking. I was talking to a lady yesterday in our class, and we were saying how it was when we stopped drinking. Like I started to cry more. I was actually upset because my emotions started to come out of me because I was masking them for so long that I didn't even know what it was like to cry. I had no clue what it was like to cry because I'd never cried. I was just like always masking it in something. Now, what did I put here? Oh, I was continuing with my story of my life here. So when it comes time to figuring it out, and before I ask some of you to put it into the chat, or maybe go to in craziness might happen here and put yourself, because we're recording this, needless to say, but I'm going to write down some of these questions that some of you have, because just like Vince yesterday asked us questions, guess what? When you're around high level people, guess what high level people, my coach was even asking questions. You ask questions because you're trying to figure out what your next steps are. See, when I was trying to figure some things out here, and it's always important that I share with you my garbage first and my baggage, so that way it makes you vulnerable to be like, man, I wasn't that bad. When the police officer left a package that I was going to jail, that if I didn't get my IRS debt in play, that I had 3 weeks to do it. Let me get in a little bit closer for this one. I still didn't believe him. I was like, I really don't think they're. I mean, if they really want to take me to jail, they come to my house, like when I'm here. So guess what happened in 3 weeks? They came to my house, and I was home, and I was scared shitless because they told me I was going to jail, and my ego got the best of me at that day, and I said, never again. That's when my ego really dropped. You got to get yourself in such a scary position that something transforms you, where now part of my life of figuring it out, I don't allow that. I'm very proactive now. I'm like, well, there's no need. Like even the boot last night with the car, I probably should have done a better job looking around the scene to see if there's a sign. Like it'd be dumb. Like, really, Brock, do you think in downtown Nashville you can park for free? Like, hello? Like, I deserve to get a boot, really. When I look at it, I'm like, I probably should have got that boot. Like, that was dumb of me. But here's the thing. When I was in IRS, 153,000. If you're wondering what the number was, it was $153,000 that I was in IRS debt that I was going to go to jail for. 2 weeks later, I have somebody so pissed off at me that they file a DSS letter against me with the fabricated story that I left my kids in the car and they have me on camera. And I was scared to death when the social worker knocked on my door and says, I need to talk to you about your kids. I need to see about your living situation. For those that know me and know my house and know how I treat my kids, like my son got mad because the Roku in the car that I drive has TVs in it, and they live a very, very lucky life because of what I do. And I tell them, I'm like, man, do you want to see, like, my car is probably, and not to be impressed to anybody, I'm just saying, like, you really are pissing me off, lady, when you mess with my kids. Like, you don't think I'm a good father. And guess what? I couldn't control it. I couldn't control this lady. Just like some of the situations I'm in today, I'm figuring out that I can't control everything, and I have to understand. But the reason why I say this to you, when I lose my license in real estate and I have 18 people, I have a $28,000 per month overhead that I had to come up with bills. All these things take place, and I'm asking you right now, what are you trying to figure out in your life? Chad knows, our coach talks about how you go from point A to point B. And how are you getting to point B? What are you doing? What does that look like? Because you have to understand with clarity what that's all about. And many of us right now, you know how many commercials I've been listening to the radio, because this car I have, I don't know how to use XM radio on it because I'm always listening to XM radio. And this car has more commercial. Do you want to know could somebody please tell me here? What is the number one commercial do you think's on the radio right now? Like, what do you think the number one ad is? Does anybody have a clue, like the number one ad, what I'm hearing on the radio? Anybody want to give it a guess? Anybody at all? Allstate? Yeah. Any guesses on here? I'm trying to get to my chats here to be able. Let me just tell you. When you're looking at this on this phone, it's a little bit more challenging. It's progressive. Now, the number one thing they're talking about is credit card debt. And that's why Chad and I talked about it the other day, is that they're like, call in now, be caller number 7 to win $1,000 to get yourself out of credit card debt. I'm like, $1,000? Damn, I promise you, it's more than $1,000. Like, do you not know inflation? But every commercial, it didn't matter what station I was listening to, what it was, they was doing something on there that had credit card debt on there. And they were talking about it. And I wish I could see, I'm like trying to look at chat, or Mike, I guess, said something funny, and I can't see it on the chat over here. Yes, no, they were not talking about erectile dysfunction, Mike. They were not talking about that. Good guess, though. Good guess. So here's the thing. Financially is a big topic right now. And Chad could probably have conversations about this for a long period of time of all the stories that he hear. And I also understand this because I know people when they're saying like, well, I don't have this in my budget. Wendy asked me this question the other day, and I really want you guys to focus on this, okay? Wendy asked, I even wrote it down. What do I do when I don't make any money that month? She's like, so how do you handle that? Like, what does the stress look like for you when you don't get any sales or you don't make any money? Raise your hand. How many of you at one point in your life did not make money in a month? Okay. Majority of us probably would say like, yes, it has happened in some capacity. Look at everybody on some, I see everybody. Thanks, guys. Right. Because it's like, well, yeah, of course, Brock. And so today, 2 years ago, when my life was transformed, when I had a lot of problems taking place, I said something to myself. I said, never again will this happen. And so when she said to me at the time of our situation, she's like, what do you do when you don't make any money that month? And I looked at her, I said, well, what do you mean? She's like, well, what do you do when like you don't have a sale or something else? I said, that's not an option. I have to make money. Not making money is not an option. So I have to figure out some way to make some sort of income in some capacity. And this is why I'm up here. This gets me to why am I up here? Because I need to figure out more ways to make money. They say to you, you're supposed to have, and Chad can verify, I think you're supposed to have 5 streams of income coming in some capacity. So part of my goal in 2023 was to make sure I have all 5 in good working order, because if 3 of them fail me, I got 2 ready to rock and roll. So there's never a situation where I don't make money. Here was one of the takeaways that my coach said to me on why I'm up here and figuring out more income, more exposure. He said he does a daily inventory, not a monthly, because that's how I used to look at it, was monthly. He does a daily inventory and says, did I make any money today? In some capacity. See, the more that I learn and why I go to these coaching things is because I can sell coaching products. I can go and I can sell real estate, or I could do referrals to Mike Castor on property management. I can do referrals to Chad on some money. I just gave Greg's name out to 3 different people about him editing podcasts, and he edits my podcast. I pay him some good money each month, and he helps me. Right? For those of you thinking podcast is a free thing and let me just put it on a platform, it doesn't work that way. It's expensive. But I can he's one of my strategic partners. And if I can give him something, then in return, you never know what takes place, because he edits my podcast and I get something from it, and people reach, man, that was a really good story. Could you help me? I had a networking event up here with my buddy Jim. He brought in like 10 or 12 young guns here, all younger kids than me. You want to know what the biggest question is? Because one of the things that I'm dealing with up here was asking me about being a life coach and what does that mean? Like, how do you become a life coach? I always tell people you have a lot of bad things happen to you and you figure out how to get out of them. That's really what it is. There is no certificate of life. Or here's the authenticity of life coach Brock. Congratulations on it. Like, it doesn't happen. It's just I start telling stories about, well, this happened. I lost my job. My car got repossessed. I was divorced. Oh, yeah. Let me tell you about this side of it. That's life. And so these young kids, these millennials, they were asking me about life because this is what I've noticed now. See, when you come to these things and why I try to figure out in my head, that's why I go around high level people, is because they help you with wisdom. They put experiences into you to be able to help figure things out for your personal self or whatever it might be, because you want to have resources to help you. And these millennials, they don't have any guidance. They don't know where they're supposed to go because the internet is all fake. They're like, well, Brock, I tried to do this and I was actually, could you tell me about this? Like, I started this roofing company, but boy, it was a lot harder than I thought. So then I left the roofing company and then I went over to here, and then that doesn't really help. Right, Chad? Our past can help somebody's future. My past helps many people either be like, thank God, mine's not that bad. Make them feel like a little bit calm and relaxed, like, whew, okay. But at least they know, hey, I can talk to this guy. See, I can refer strategic partners all day. Lori's transaction coordinator. I'm always like, Lori, I got somebody for you. Hey, what do you think about this? Right? Christians in the some of the video world. So you want to be able to share with other people. Now, before I go into my final phase of my figuring out, I want you to write down, for anybody who's vulnerable, what are you trying to figure out? In the chat, for my conversations that I've had with you, what are you trying to figure out in 2023? What are you trying to do? This is a thought question. Guys, Chad knows because he comes to the lodge. And for those of you that are also on here that come to, if you go to really high level coaching, we've all been to like different coaching seminars where there's like 5,000 people in the room and they kind of just speak to you in a very large sense. But when you're in a room with 7 people and they say, hey, Brock, what are you trying to do? What's your purpose in life? What's your skill? What's your knowledge set? How do you grade yourself? Like, you're like, damn, I really can't get out of this question. How many of you actually do a deep dive to think about what it is that you're trying to figure out in 2023? How many of you are really trying to have it spelled out? How can I be a best service to others? Who my worldwide mission should support? Who else has something on here? Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Sean. And see, here's the thing, guys. I'm striking a nerve on some of you because not a nerve, but I'm striking something inside your head being like, I don't know, I've never really thought about it like that. I never really, and maybe I did, but I don't really want to air out my laundry right now. I got some other challenges, Brock, that I don't really want to make. My marriage, my credit card is in some pretty serious debt. I'm actually living off my 401k right now. I haven't paid my car bill in 2 months. Guys, these are real stories of real life situations that some of you might be going through. Some of you might have a drinking problem that I'm staring at right now and don't want to look in the mirror. I shared with you the quote, until you accept the truth of your situation, you cannot change it. And when I started to recognize who I really was, and I started to stop talking to the window and start talking to the mirror, and I faced it, life changes. And then you get in the rooms with people who help you. So what am I trying to figure out? Why am I up here? I'm going to be point blank honest with you. I wrote it down so I didn't screw it up. Why I'm up here to figure it out is how to not be the best kept secret and how to monetize it. You might be like, well, Brock, that's not about like family. Well, there's different goals. This isn't a family retreat that I'm up here either. Okay. Like we're not talking about my kids and daycare. It is to understand, like, I don't want to be the best kept secret. People tell me all the time, and thank you, Chad, for your comment. Brock, thank you so much. This is really good value. Thank you so much. But my audience has to become larger. My coach says, Brock, why are you up here? Coach, to be honest with you, I need more exposure and we're closer to you. And I don't plan on going anywhere. And for those that know me, I'm pretty relentless. Chad found that out. I find you. I will hunt you down. If you have a law of attraction and something that attracts me to you, I will hunt you down. Ask Wendy. I did it to her too. I will hunt you down. Greg has a set of skills. I'm like, hey, I know you don't do this, but I really like your editing. I don't know how to do that. Right? Robin and I talk. She's down in Key West. She's part of the prayer group. She's like, Brock, I need you to do this call at 6:30 in the morning. There's different things. Lori and I talk all the time. Castor and I talk all the time. There's many of you that are on this call that I've had conversations with. Sean, and I don't know who's on Facebook, and I gave up on trying to figure out Facebook right now. I have a saying, like, if you really want to talk to me, you'll figure out a way to get my information, just like it was with Vince and this millionaire guy. He's going to be on Figured Out Friday. He's a young gun, and he's learned how to make money by marketing at a high level. A coach can only be a coach to himself unless he has exposure. I can't help anybody if nobody knows me. Can't help anybody if nobody knows how to get in touch with me. That's why you have to have marketing. You have to have all these things. So I need to learn that. I need to figure out how to do that, how to not be the best kept secret, how to get more exposure, how to monetize it. I don't think anybody on here in the entrepreneurship world is here to volunteer. I love to volunteer. Don't get me wrong. I do some volunteering, but it doesn't pay. I can't call, hey, Bank of America, listen, I did a lot of volunteering today. And I did a lot this month. Let me just tell you what I did around the holidays. I know I missed a couple payments, but let me just tell you, the church was very, very happy with me. Like they're not gonna like it sounds great, but that not in the real world. I'm going to honestly challenge you. I want to know what you're trying to figure out. And I'm not going to post it and put it out there and blab it. But between now and February 17th, Coach Burt and I said, Brock, let's figure out and help people. Let's take the top 5 problems that entrepreneurs are having, and let's figure out how we can help them. It doesn't matter what your goals might be, what your dreams might be. We have quite a versatility of marriage problems, at least I do. I can't speak on his behalf, but all these things of how to get out of. I want to work with single parents when their significant other says, I want to get a divorce. Okay, you can't just go to, like, there's not a simple formula. There's no owner's manual that says, okay, divorce. Yep, that's chapter 6. Chapter 6. Let's open that up. Like, it doesn't happen. So all these things to figure out. And that is why I'm up here and I'm going to be sharing more and more about what I'm learning in the marketing world, what I'm learning to be able to help myself figure it out, as well as help other people figure it out. Because this is why figure it out is, if you put it into reticular activator, everybody, figure out is a word that people say more times than they even know. How am I going to get my kid? All right, my parents are going to have to pick up Bryce here to do this. I got to get Wendy to figure out how to get this over to here so I could be there. We're always figuring out something. Chad was trying to figure out something. Greg, all these people were always trying to figure out something. And so it's just part of life, and it's okay. Next Wednesday, I gotta end. I keep going. Next Wednesday webinars, I do 11 o'clock every Wednesday. I try to remain as consistent as I possibly can. Okay. Next Wednesday, Wednesday webinars, I got Chris coming. He owns his own lending brokerage, and we're going to talk about the buyer's mindset to get him off to get the buyers off the fence so you can make some more money. February 17th, check the link here in the chat and come back to Facebook. We have the Figure Out Friday live, literally live. It's going to be happy hour. Coach Burt is coming from Nashville. Him and I, well, mostly him, I'll add my 2 cents every now and then, but he's going to be here sharing. So make sure you get save the date on that. And then I appreciate for all the EXP agents, I am looking to speak in Orlando. So if you get an opportunity, I've been nominated as a speaker to be on stage. I'm very, very excited about this opportunity. I've been working, as you can see, diligently every single day in some capacity. If you could vote for me, you're allowed 10 votes a day. Christian, thank you for that. You're allowed 10 votes a day. I'm not stealing it from any other person that's on here who's got votes. If you want me to vote for you, send me an email. I'll vote for you. Okay. That's how we work it back and forth. So I believe today's the last day for voting. So I appreciate your vote. If you voted for me this week, you can vote again today. And that's it. And Monday I'll be back in my normal background, my normal world of racing and diving. So I'm gonna ask you guys where it's on EXP. You have to be an EXP agent to be able to vote. For those of you that put it on chat though, thank you so much. I appreciate your vote on there. Because some of you have been putting it on Facebook. But Monday I'll be back at 8:15. Guys, seriously, think about what you're trying to figure out. Think about what it is that you're trying to figure out to take your business, take your life, take your personal life, whatever it might be, to the next level. Okay. Mine, you might be like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. It has to make sense to you. Guys, I love you. Thank you so much for being on here. I appreciate you all for Figure It Out Friday. I'll be back at 8:15 on Monday and looking forward to having you guys have a great weekend. If I can help you out, if you're interested in my coaching or want a strategic dive with me on anything, you know how to get in touch with me. Guys, thank you, thank you, thank you. And Amy says she was able to vote. So, all right, I guess maybe you don't have to be an EXP to vote. So it's on my Facebook. If you go to my Facebook, you can see the link there for the vote with me with my picture with the microphone. So, guys, thank you so much. Appreciate y'all. Have a great day. Be safe out there, and we'll talk to you all soon. See ya. Yeah.